So, just so you have it, I'm Mark Johnson, one of the executive producers of Rectify.
And Hold and Catch Fire, Breaking Bad.
Yeah. And,
Academy Award winner.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I know. Somebody, when we won the Emmy for Breaking Bad, I said, okay, you know, they have the, what's it called, the EGOT.
Yeah.
Which I have now 2 stages of, but I joke that I'm going to forget the Grammy and the Tony. I'm going to go for the Nobel. And you know, pass everyone by.
Breaking Bad the musical.
That's right. Well, if you get a musical, then you'll have a soundtrack album, and you'll probably get the Grammy, and yeah.
Well, yeah, Dave Porter's score is just so minimalist, but it's so good. It's not intrusive, but it just works.
Yeah, it really is.
So what drew you to Rectify?
You know what happened? I called Ray McKinnon, who was a friend of mine and an actor I know, who won an Oscar himself for a short called The Accountant that he wrote, directed, starred in, and produced. And I just known him for a while, and I have such a respect for him. And he appears in all kinds of movies. You know, he's the coach in Blindside. He's the priest with the tumor in Deadwood. It's been around for a while. I called him, and he was in Arkansas. And I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "So funny you should call. I just finished this pilot." And I read it, and I called him. It's one of those intuitive things when you say, this one is one you got to drop everything and read.
Right.
And I love the fact for me that it's more, the characters who are more compelling aren't, it's not Daniel who's the lead of it, who is a compelling character, but it's really about, for me, it's how all the characters around him are compromised by his being back.
Right.
What should be on the surface on paper is this great, you know, jubilant occasion, and yet everybody, what's it going to be like now having him living in my house, where he's going to be? He doesn't know how to, you know, use a DVD player. He, you know, is he guilty? And so everybody, the whole town is all sort of affected by this, and I love the idea that if there is a common theme to movies and television shows that are important to me, it's about family, and this is very much about family and how everybody's affected by this one horrific act. And anyhow, it just I found it really compelling, and it's interesting because it's compelling not in the way that a big, you know, drama or chase film is. It's compelling in that it's so much about characters, revealing characters, and what I'm particularly proud of is the way we tell their stories. It has a very deliberate pace, which admittedly for some people may be a little bit slow, but it really is a show that has the courage of its, you know, stylistic convictions. Anyway, it's a long-winded answer.
No, and you talk about that, I like to call it country pacing, where it just takes its time, and the story tells itself, and it's ambience and it's atmosphere.
Right.
And that's what I love, and like you said, yeah, maybe it's not a car chase show, you know, it's not a show where shootouts happen, but it doesn't need to be a show. Right. And like we were talking earlier, it's not a show that, it doesn't care about the cause, it cares about the effect. You know, and the butterfly effect of him coming back home is just, it's so fantastic.
Right, and you realize, by the way, whether or not you want to get to the question of, you know, did he do it, did he not do it, he is, if you spend 19 years locked in a cell like that and not really interfacing with another human being, you have to become a different person from the person you went in.
Right.
And you almost come out, it doesn't sound quite right, you almost come out guilty as a human being. You cannot emerge from that life and not be a damaged soul. So, you know, that's...
Well, who did he talk to?
Right.
Nobody.
He saw him going through the air vent, and he talked to the prisoners on either side.
I like that relationship between him and his, not the creepy one, but his buddy, who ended up, you know, and Kerwin, I think was his name.
That's exactly right.
And he, you know, he has this huge relationship with him, and you know, obviously he's guilty, but it's that almost Shawshank Redemption bond between the two of them, where they, you know, they become, and like you said, he, at a certain point, he starts to feel guilty and he believes that he's done it after a certain point because everybody keeps hammering it in that he did it.
Right, right.
You know, and you feel this balled up anger at the town because the town believes he did it.
Yeah.
And you almost feel angry for him because he's just innocent.
Right.
You know.
Hopefully, I mean, he is an innocent. I see him very much as a Forrest Gump, Chauncey Gardner kind of character,
right?
Who is, you know, he's a babe in the woods. He doesn't know how the world works. You know, he has that wonderful moment in season 1 when he holds up that, you know, smart water and asks the Indian manager of the convenience store. He said, "Does this work?" And it's a legitimate question. He wants him, "Does this
make you smarter?"
Make you smarter? It's called smart water. It must be. By the way, you mentioned Kerwin. One of my favorite lines is in the first season is when Kerwin is talking about his odds of getting paroled or getting out of prison, and he says with no irony and no real sense of awareness, he said, "Well, my lawyer says, you know, it would have helped if I hadn't done it." It's like, yeah, if you hadn't killed that child, it probably would have made a difference.
I like the anachronisms of it too. You know, that him and his brother, you know, they watch Dazed and Confused.
Right.
You know, and
right.
just him being introduced. Because like I was thinking, you know, if he went into prison, because it would have been the early '90s, right? It would have been about the early '90s. Yeah. So he, you know, like he said, well, video stores, their DVDs, you know.
Well, he bypassed all of that.
Yeah.
You know, and he says to his sister, she says something about, oh gosh, now I've forgotten the name of it. It's not Walmart, but a Target.
Yeah.
Because he says, "What's a Target?" You know, he has no idea what, you know, she said that explaining where something is, you know, out by the Target. What's a Target?
That was interesting. I thought it was cool that it was actually filmed. I'd never seen anything filmed in Walmart. That was so interesting to me. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen anything filmed in Walmart. And I just thought, that's so crazy.
It's very odd to get real
locations.
Real locations, and you can imagine in some shows, just because everybody's from a PR standpoint is so sensitive to what you know what's going to happen there, what's the nature of the show. You can imagine in our show Breaking Bad in the first several seasons, no one wanted anything to do with this, you know.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to touch on that. Because Breaking Bad, love that show. I mean, it's top 10 favorite shows of all time for me.
Right.
And I, you know, when I get the Blu-ray and I just zip through all the commentaries, listening to Vince Gilligan talk about how at first Albuquerque, you know, they basically said, "You want to do whatever you want," you know, and Albuquerque was very kind to allow them to do whatever they wanted in terms of, you know, having, you know, scenes with like Wendy the prostitute, you know, and just like have pretty much free play on, you know, basically making this really dark drama about a drug dealer.
Right. And you know, but I have to say that Griffin, Georgia has been fantastic to us for Rectify, and it is a town that is, you know, it's one of those moments where not only on the official side of the city, but the sort of the man and woman in the street is so welcoming to our show, and I think they somehow now, certainly now having seen it, but they really understand what the core situation, the core dilemma is, and I think that they have embraced the show that in ways that a lot of actual locations never get around to.
And it's believable as a small town. You see a small town in a movie or a TV series, and you think that's a set. But you watch them, you know, them walking out in fields, and you hear the crickets chirping, and you're in the country, you know, and that's so believable. And that's one that, like I said, it's ambience and atmosphere.
Right.
You know, I wanted to before we go, I did want to talk about Breaking Bad again, just because I love it. And when
we just started shooting on Monday, Better Call Saul.
How's that going to be?
Vince is directing it. We had a read through a week ago today in Albuquerque. Spectacular.
So what do you expect from Better Call Saul?
Oh, I don't know what I expect. I mean, it's hard. It's following, you know, such an amazing show, but it's. I was so thrilled with the first script and with the read through that it stands on its own. It's not, you know, too much inside baseball. You know, where you got to know Breaking Bad to appreciate Saul. It's not the case at all.
So then on that, is it? And again, you know, not trying to tread on spoilers or anything, but is it going to be more of a long-term serialized? I mean, like I said, it will be a serialized, but is it going to be more of, well, Saul's Case of the Week, or is it going to be something completely different?
It will be something completely different. You can imagine Vince Gilligan is, I think the word conventional doesn't really apply to him very much, and,
no.
and it's, you know, he's a great character and a comic character too. So there'll be plenty of that.
Right, and I mean, just when when Breaking Bad came into the fold, did you expect it to be this huge cultural?
No. But by the way, Rectify, I didn't expect Rectify to have the impact it did. And it's not, you know, it's not that you know, everybody in America is watching it. It's just that the critical, those people who watch it have really embraced it. There's such affection and even respect for Rectify that I find really astonishing. That people really like the characters and I think really have embraced the way we tell those stories.
And that's the casting, the writing, you know, that you get a Canadian actor in Aiden Young,
he's Australian, as is Adelaide. So two of our leads are both Australian.
So believable as people from a small town in Georgia.
Right.
So believable. You know, it's such a good show. And and you say, you know, it's the advent of social networking and television criticism being more of a cornerstone of getting viewers. That television criticism is not just people saying, well, yeah, a TV critic likes it. I doesn't mean I should like it. Now it's, well, this TV critic, who is a very well-renowned TV critic, is saying, look, watch the show.
Right.
Time Magazine or somebody like that. And then people who read that are going to go, well, you know, this is the show.
Right.
So.